Fairly Odd Parents Schools Out the Musical was the first and only musical special Fairly Odd Parents has ever made, which is kind of shocking considering this show put out some bangers like Shiny Teeth and Me or Icky Vicky. But even though they'll throw songs into random episodes, Schools Out is the only full-out musical. It originally premiered June 10th of 2005, and it's lived in my head rent-free ever since. Interestingly, Nickelodeon uploaded the entire special to YouTube as a sing-along, and they took away the captions, aka the sing-along part, for a majority of the songs, past like the first two. And of the two songs that had lyrics included, they're not even all correct. In the Pixies rap that Nickelodeon uploaded themselves to YouTube, they caption one of the lyrics, "I'm staying the sun, I'm anti-fun," when it really should say, "I'm Sanderson, I'm anti-fun," but whatever. Back when this movie first premiered, I was a greasy little 7-year-old boy. I had just been let loose on summer break, and I was spending it the way any 7-year-old boy should, locked up inside watching Nickelodeon. So this special released at the perfect time in my life, where I felt connected to Timmy's angsty struggle with adults having power. And anytime I see this special again, or hear a song from it, the feeling of childhood in the summertime comes flooding back and giving me a bittersweet feeling, to be honest. But is it all just nostalgia talking? Is Schools Out the Musical really that good? Well, it's been a shocking 19 years since the musical graced us all with its release, so I decided it was finally time to go back and see. Is it just the nostalgia talking? Is the reason they never made another Fairly Odd Parents musical after this one because it was trash? Or is it actually a hidden gem? The special starts with a cool neon musical intro, and it's low-key fire. I love that they made a special intro. Right off the bat, we're getting funky, and you know it's not just any old regular episode. We start out in the farmlands of Kansas 37 years ago, when two clowns on a train realize it's going to crash. They decide to put their clown baby in a rocket and launch it off the train to save his life. The Pixies are driving along, and they're pissed that their 37-year plan to kill fun and take over Fairy World was just ruined. I also just want to point out that it's specifically shown to us by the artists that Sanderson and HP are driving a stick shift, yet they never once shift gears ever. Why did they decide to make it a stick shift if they weren't going to use it as a stick shift? I don't know. The clowns launch their child off the train and scream for their impending doom, while the clown dad cries out that he should have finished law school. At the last second, the train diverts onto an alternate path, and that was clearly not there 2 seconds before, but whatever. The clowns realize in horror that they shot their only child out of a rocket for no goddamn reason. The Pixies say they wish they could find a baby to mold as a human pawn over the next 37 years, and just then, the rocket falls out of the sky, causing the Pixies to spin out and crash while screaming, "Ah," in the most monotone voice ever. And let me just say, we're not even 2 minutes in yet, and this special is already banger. It's made me laugh multiple times, and I'm fully locked in. The Pixies screaming in monotone is comedy gold, and the concept of the concept of making a 37-year-old plan after your 37-year-old plan just failed is hilarious. The Pixies find the rocket and seemingly adopt the clown baby. Cut back to Dimsdale, modern day, where Timmy and his bros are in class waiting for the first day of summer to begin. Chester tries to will the clock to move forward with his mind, and that's something I totally would have done as a kid. The bell rings, school is officially out, and the opening song, Kids Just Being Kids, starts up. In the very first lines of the song, Timmy says, "The bell rings, school's done, time for 8 straight weeks of sun and fun." Maybe summer fun, I don't know. That would mean summer is only 56 days, but in the Phineas and Ferb theme song, they claim summer is 104 days, and I need to know, what is the truth? Throughout the entire song, the kids are completely decimating the town. The Pixies help them wreck even more shit by turning their pogo sticks into jackhammers and giving them legitimate weapons of mass destruction. The adults try to get away from all the chaos, but there's no escape. The kids are hiding in Crocker's toilet. They're all up in this old lady's fridge, running people over, presumably killing them. They're just all over the city wreaking havoc. And also, I'd like to point out, Crocker keeps a photo of his mother on the toilet. I don't know. The lyrics of the song even get kind of edgy. The parents say they'll kill themselves this summer because their kids just being kids. And I don't know, just the words kill themselves is kind of crazy coming out of something from Nickelodeon. The damages become so terrible that there's an emergency meeting at town hall and everyone decides to mutiny and presumably kill the mayor and Chompy. But suddenly, a corporate man named Flappy Bob busts in just before the angry mob can do anything rash. And he says he has a solution to all of their problems. He then busts out into a slick-ass song, Get Flappy, and through the power of music, he convinces all of the parents to sign their kids up for Flappy Bob's Learnatorium for the entire summer. And these parents must really fucking hate their kids because just the state tax on the membership is over $5,000. In fact, the entire bill for Flappy Bob's Learnatorium is absolutely insane. But let me tell you, this guy Flappy Bob, he's a tortured soul and he can manipulate these Dimsdale folks easily. What a suave and interesting character. And honestly, when I was watching this, I truly wondered if Christian Bale was ever in the casting decision for this man, because I think it would have been great. The next morning, the kids all get dropped off at summer camp as the parents go off to live their best lives. And we get a callback joke with Timmy's dad winning Miss Dimsdale, which happened in season 4, episode 1 for those who are curious. And I like to think he's so happy with that win that he has not taken the outfit off since. As the parents all leave, the facade of the camp falls, revealing a prison-like atmosphere. And inside the camp is a padded room. And honestly, the kid bashing his head into the wall, kind of me at work every day. The pixies pop in and tell Timmy that adults are the reason for all his misery, and Timmy agrees. He then launches into the song, Adults Ruin Everything, where he uses his fairy's magic to help kids gain control over the adults. And let me just say, during this song, Timmy has an entire presidential campaign and wins in a landslide vote, all within one song. It's goddamn impressive. Gary and Betty, Flappy Bob's employees, are watching in fear as the kids take over the town, and Gary asks Betty to hold him. Betty says she doesn't like him like that and runs off as he chases her. Flappy Bob says to stop and that she doesn't like him like that, and I love that Flappy Bob was against workplace sexual misconduct before it was cool. The Pixies pop in and launch into the Pixies rap. And when the Pixies are rapping, they're actually voiced by Redman and Method Man. And Method Man is actually from Wu-Tang Clan. And I just think it's hilarious picturing Method Man rapping this song hardcore in a recording studio. It's just a funny image. The Pixies reveal through rap that their plan is to use Flappy Bob to gain control in order to ruin all of the fun in Fairy World and the OG world. And back at Timmy's house, it's revealed he's officially president of Kid World, and I always remember the White House being in Timmy's tree from when I was a kid. What a cool image. Timmy then breaks into 10 and in charge, and to be honest, this song gets a tiny bit squeaky, but it's not even that bad. I'm still digging it. During the song, Timmy gives presidential orders to his other kid politician friends, and Wanda sings about how it's great that with kids in charge, there's no war. It's funny that this would never occur to Timmy to sing about this. Like, oh yeah, we achieve world peace, but that's an afterthought. We also, more importantly, turn the banks into candy banks. Timmy orders the other kids to go smash everything in sight at the Learnatorium. And during all of this, the Pixies ping over to Jorgen and tell him the kids took over the world and he has to remove fairies from Earth. And then reveals a loophole in the rules stating if Pixies are the last magical creature on Earth, they can be assigned the children and grant wishes. And damn, this is so much plot to go on during one song. Also, when Cosmo complains about being stuck with the chores, he is washing a toilet in the middle of the room out in the open. Anyone who would use this would feel exposed. Jorgen appears right as Timmy finishes the song and steals his fairies, saying he has too much power. Uh-oh. Back in Fairy World, Jorgen tells Cosmo and Wanda that fairies are only for children in need, and no kids on Earth are in need anymore since they have all the power. Orphans, sick children, I don't know. I don't remember Timmy wishing for a cure to cancer. Jorgen then launches into a short but absolute banger song, Pull Back the Fairies, as he gathers every fairy from Earth and presumably locks them all in prison. At the Kid White House, Flappy Bob busts into the Oval Office and yells at Timmy for having his camp demolished, as it was his life's work. Timmy says it sucked anyway, which is extremely harsh. Flappy Bob then busts out some crazy clown shit, and Timmy applauds, telling him that that's what fun is. Flaps says he doesn't know what to believe fun is anymore, and I gotta say, it's actually interesting to see him fighting between his clown genetics and being raised as a boring businessman. The Pixies then show up and reveal they've been looking out for Flappy Bob ever since he was an infant, but they still let him live in an orphanage for some reason. They explain they helped him get through Harvard Law School, then gave even blueprints for Camp Learnatorium. And it's a little weird, I thought the Pixies wanted all the fairies off of Earth so they could finally grant wishes. But it seems like they've been using magic freely and granting wishes already for the past 37 years. But I do think it's a beautiful detail that Flappy Bob finished law school, and we know that his father also attempted law school as well. It's just a cute little detail. The Pixies poof up a contract telling Flapster they can give him anything he wants if he just signs this contract, giving them complete control of Fairy World. And hold on a second, who the hell is Flappy Bob to be signing away Fairy World? What gives him the right? He probably doesn't even know it exists at all. Why would he be allowed to sign it away to the Pixies? And more importantly, why would Jorgen honor that contract? Just before Flapped Up Bob signs the contract, Timmy busts into the iconic song, Where is the Fun?, where he tries to convince Flappy Bob to not sign the contract. Timmy tells Flappy Bob that the Pixies have been using him and decided his entire life for him. He tells him to think about if his clowny parents would be proud of his path he chose in life. And Flappy Bob is feeling torn, but he ultimately doesn't trust Timmy since he destroyed his business that he worked his whole life for. And Flappy Bob signs the Pixies contract. Flappy Bob then wishes for a world that fits all his views and becomes essentially a dictator as the world transforms to a kiddie school Learnatorium version of the world. And meanwhile, the stock for fun is going down. It's what my Robinhood account looks like every time I log in. Over in Fairy Jail, Jorgen is interrogating Wanda, trying to get her to blame Cosmo for their crimes. And I'm not really sure what crimes. The fairies were simply removed from Earth because the kids got too much power. Why is that acting like they all did something wrong? Wanda then busts into the unforgettable song, Floating With You. And it's a beautiful, heartfelt duet about Cosmo and Wanda's love for each other, set to a montage of them meeting and growing up together. And it's absolutely an emotional masterpiece. I'm crying. And I'm not the only one. The song moves Jorgen to tears, giving Cosmo and Wanda time to escape. But as they're escaping, the Pixies are unleashing their gray and dullness on Fairy World. And this is what's happening in the real world today. Have you seen how colorful McDonald's used to be and what they look like now? The Pixies got a hold of them. Cosmo and Wanda try to outrun the Pixie dullness, but there's only enough color on the Rainbow Bridge for one person to slide down. And Cosmo steals Binky's wand, gives it to Wanda, and throws her down the slide, sacrificing himself for her. And that's beautiful. And watching this, I can't help but think about how Wanda gets Cosmo pregnant later on in the series, and it's just all a little bit odd. And at some point, Binky tries to break out of the oppressive Pixie regime and gets instantly attached to cement blocks. They mean business. Cosmo then starts singing Unfundamentals, which is probably one of the weakest songs in the special, but once it gets going, I guess it's pretty lit though. During the song, everyone's basically complaining about how bad their lives have become, besides Timmy's dad, who makes it very clear he does not care about Timmy in any capacity. He definitely wishes he never had a kid. He is happy to golf all day while Timmy is being tortured at summer camp and just doesn't care. Flappy Bob is about to burn all his clown memorabilia when he overhears the Pixies saying they ripped him away from his family and his destiny and convinced him that boring is fun. And they laughed that only a dumb clown would fall for that kind of plan. If they didn't talk shit, their plan would have worked. Flappy Bob, upon hearing this, realizes Timmy was right. Wanda finds Timmy just as he fears he'll have to solve things himself, God forbid. And Timmy wishes for the world to be back to normal. But Wanda can't break Flappy Bob's wish contract. Why not? It wasn't with Wanda. I don't get the contract. Flappy Bob then pops out in his clown attire and assaults Timmy. After the assault, he tells Timmy he's had a change of heart and his years of law school taught him how to find a loophole in a contract. Timmy and Flappy Bob then start singing a reprise of the song Where is the Fun, and I'm hyped that it makes a comeback. Flappy Bob then helps Timmy return all of the toys and destructive items to the kids of the world, and they start to regain control as they did in the beginning of the movie. The Pixies are enjoying their victory and chilling in a hot tub, and I gotta say, HP and Sanderson are the last people I'd expect to see in a hot tub. I mean, that's a pretty fun activity. For characters whose sole purpose is to be against fun, that's pretty fun. Timmy and Flappy rally the troops to have so much fun and cause so much destruction that Gary and Betty are forced to call the Pixies for assistance. How in the world is this possible? How did Gary and Betty call the Pixies directly? Their own boss, Flappy Bob, was unclear who they even were when they first appeared. Are Gary and Betty aware of the existence of these magical worlds with pixies and fairies? The pixies show up and they are not happy that there's fun occurring. Flappy confronts them about lying to him for 37 years, and they simply say they have a binding contract. Flappy Bob then points out the contract states the Earth will be safe and fun as defined by Flappy Bob. He then says he now defines fun as everything being the way it used to be, and the pixies have nothing they can do. They tell Timmy their next 37-year plan will get him, and he will pay when he's 47 as they grumpily turn the world back to normal. And I'm still waiting for the sequel. Everyone's enjoying their summer on the streets, and Flappy is disappointed that his parents couldn't be there to see him. When out of nowhere, his parents show up. They say they've been looking everywhere for him ever since they lost him 37 years ago, but they also say they spent 36 years of those 37 years in Vegas. So how hard were they looking? Flappy's dad also says they looked for him at the US Congress where they found a lot of clowns, but none of them were fun. Flappy and his family share a pie slap and a hug and agree to meet in Vegas if they ever get split up again. Wanda then pops in, and it's revealed she found his parents for him because that's the way things are supposed to be, and that's really fucking cute. I'm touched. I honestly teared up a little. Cosmo poofs in and reunites with the gang as they use their magic to set one last banger song up in the Flappy Bob Learnatorium, which I guess was magically reconstructed when he wished for the world to be back to the way it should be. It's the Kids Just Being Kids reprise, and the song is so good it gives Betty a literal heart attack. Seriously, according to the Fairly OddParents wiki, she is never seen again as a character after this. Last time we see her is clutching her chest yelling, "My heart," then falling over. She is never ever seen again after that shot, and that's an implied death for the character, I think. Also, the Pixies say they have to bike all the way home, and what in the hell? Where is home? Is it in space? How can they bike there? The Pixies then decide it might be a better idea to do a 6-week plan next time as the credits start to roll. And while there's no after credits scene, there is about 4 to 5 minutes of bonus content in the form of bloopers released online when this special first came out. They're nothing crazy, but one of them involves Timmy getting pissed at Cosmo for missing his cue during the song Adults Ruin Everything. They're all really short little gags, but they're cute enough. However, it does raise some weird questions, like, is Timmy Turner knowingly acting for a camera within the confines of his own world? Is he in character within his own universe? Is his name even Timmy Turner, or is he someone playing Timmy Turner? But after everything is said and done, my underwear has been blown off. From start to finish, my ass was glued to the seat and I was locked in. So let's dig into why I thought Fairly OddParents School's Out the Musical is really that good. Let's start with the voice acting. Everyone who was involved in this special gave it their absolute all. Tara Strong is in character as a 10-year-old boy while singing, which has got to be so difficult to do, and I need to give her some goddamn props. And let's not forget Dean Norris, the voice of Timmy's dad, Cosmo, and Jorgen. Cosmo and Jorgen both had full songs that sound entirely different from each other. The fact that he can switch up his voice so well for each character and not only voice act, but also sing in these voices is pure insanity. Dean Norris has mastered the craft of voice acting for this special, and I hope they paid him well. And speaking of the singing, I am not kidding when I say all of the songs are certified bangers. I could listen to Where Is the Fun over and over again while probably singing along, to be honest. And besides from just being catchy, I really love how all the songs move the plot along. The kids get sent off to the Learnatorium during a song. The fairies get evacuated from Earth. Cosmo and Wanda escape from jail. The songs all keep the plot rapidly moving forward, so it never gets boring or slow. I honestly can't even comprehend how they fit so much plot into a short special that was only 48 minutes, compared to Channel Chasers being an hour 20. It's a real shame there was no official soundtrack ever released for School's Out the Musical, because it really deserves one. The songs are definitely good enough to justify a real CD release. I mean, speaking of the songs moving the plot, Where Is the Fun is an absolute bop, digging into Flappy Bob's internal struggle between who he was born as versus who he was raised to be. Floating With You is a beautiful, genuinely romantic love song that actually got me to tear up a bit. Let's be real. It gave us a glimpse into why Wanda loves Cosmo and shows us how they met, which is just awesome. Hell, Pull Back the Fairies is so goddamn catchy that it might make me want to jump up and start shaking my ass. And there was never more more than a few short minutes going by without a banger song coming on, which kept the pace breakneck. And something else I loved about the special was the actual story. On the surface, it might not seem like much. More or less, Timmy fighting the pixies so he can enjoy his summer vacation. But when you look at it a bit closer, the story is really about Flappy Bob struggling with nature versus nurture. Flappy Bob was raised by the pixies to be boring, but still has the instincts of being a clown. Throughout the special, we consistently see Flappy Bob's clown DNA sneak through his business persona. And while he represses it for most of the episode, ultimately, he decides you can't run away from who you truly are, and he decides to embrace his totally hilarious, if not somewhat creepy, clown instincts. And seeing a man struggle between the values he was brought up with and what he feels in his heart is a legitimately captivating struggle to watch unfold. So much of the story is dedicated to Timmy and Flappy Bob that most of the side characters don't have much to do in this one, which I'm actually okay with. And this actually brings me to the next point I wanted to make, which is that Timmy gets to shine as a character a bit more than he usually does, with the heart of the story revolving around him and Flappy Bob. I love that Timmy has to not fully rely on magic to save the day. He uses his own empathy and tries to really connect with Flappy Bob as a person. He apologizes to him for wrecking his life's work in the Learnatorium, and he encourages him to think about his parents and his background. I like that we see some of the not useless side of Timmy here. It's nice to see him show more of a human side. And another thing I love is after all these years later, I still feel like this special perfectly encapsulates what it feels like to have summertime as a kid. You're free from school, you don't have a job, nothing but freedom to go fuck around with your friends for 3 months straight in beautiful weather, doing whatever you want with no worries at all. It really captures that special feeling that's hard to put into words. We've all been excited for summers when we were in school before, and I think it's really impressive the creators were able to capture a vibe that most people have felt before in their childhoods. And even though now I'm an adult with bills and a job and no summer vacation, God, watching this special still gives me the same feeling again, which for that, I am extremely grateful. So, if you can't already tell, 19 years later, I still think Fairly OddParents, School's Out the Musical is a certified banger, an absolute classic. And back to the question I asked at the beginning of the video, was this the only Fairly OddParents musical because it was terrible? And I have a clear answer to that. No, it's not because it was terrible. The reason this was the only Fairly OddParents musical ever made is because they knew they could never top this. They could never do any better. They struck gold, and they have to live with that. The songs are extremely lit. The amount of plot that happens within the songs is unreal. The performances are top-notch, and the songs just kept coming. If I had to change anything, maybe I would make it slightly longer, like Channel Chasers, 120 minutes, so that way more of the characters like Chester or AJ or Timmy's parents could have more to do. But that's really a minor complaint, and I didn't really care that the side characters were a bit tossed aside. Overall, it had great music, funny jokes, and a great story. I can't think of enough nice things to say about this special, and I'm so glad it still holds up for me all these years later. This is an absolute must rewatch, and if you're like me when making this video, it's a rewatch again and again and again. But enough of me yapping. What do you guys think? Have you seen this one when you were younger, or have you not heard of this one before? Let me know down in the comments, and let's kick it. If you watched this long, maybe consider subscribing and watching my other videos. The support would help thrust my channel into a new realm of success and would mean the world. So let's do it, boys. Let's do it. All right. Thanks for listening.